A very warm welcome to this webinar, which introduces the latest updates to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, also known as the Spring Wave or Spring 14 update, depending on who you speak to and where you read it on various websites. The update introduces a raft of new features, but importantly, it really starts to deliver additional value to businesses by pulling together functions, processes, and services that allow CRM to sit right at the center of your business. We hope to show you how over the next 45 minutes or so. With me, I'm Paul Ince, I'm a solutions architect at TSG, is Jordan Wheat, one of our CRM product specialists. And in terms of the agenda for the session itself, I'll actually start off by giving you the background to the update and really talk about what Microsoft's thinking is, where they've how they've come to the conclusions that they've come to, and why the product update is as it is. Jordan will then give you a demo of the new features, and we'll have time for Q&A at the end of the webinar. So if you would like to pose a question to us, feel free to do so. There is a questions box on the right-hand side of your screen in the webinar control panel. Just enter a question in there, and then I'll collate those and field those questions towards the end of the webinar itself. So the Spring Update is really all about the critical role your choice of CRM software can play in your company's ability to deliver amazing customer experiences. So let's take a look at why so many companies are trying to do just that. Really, as it says here at the top, everyone is connected everywhere and all of the time, and really the explosion of mobile technologies and the rapid adoption of social networks has changed our behavior, our communication methods, our engagement principles. They're all different, and we have sort of changed our trust systems as well. We make decisions now based on different models and criteria that are more related to what our peers online think, and perhaps it's actually reverting back to the olden sort of referral and word of mouth scenario. Organisations really need to understand these new principles and to adopt them, and you need to adopt them genuinely, and that has to be proactive as well. If you really want to effectively engage your customers, you need to pay attention to things like the statistics that are on this screen here. 4.5 billion social users, 6.8 billion people with a mobile device. Everyone really is connected all the time. So how's the customer changed, and why does a company need to reflect on this? Well, really because these days your success will depend on it, and also so will your identity of your business, certainly online. And today's buyer really is smart, and they're getting smarter by the minute. So from virtually anywhere they can find out about you, your products, your competitors. They can find out whether your customers are happy. And most importantly, with just 140 characters, they can have a huge impact on your brand. And companies have to face the reality of these super consumers. They are informed, they're very fickle, and they feel empowered to influence others. They certainly have unprecedented access to information now. They can compare products and services, and that is really in a matter of clicks. And they can do that whether they take that information from a trusted confidant, maybe a highly rated industry source, or actually just someone venting on a social network to make their experience known. And of course they can do exactly the same thing. So whether they give a like or a thumbs up, a happy face, they can make that impression on your brand. And there's a good example of this in the US of United Airlines. This is one that sort of does the rounds. So they were quite unresponsive to a passenger's complaint. And this guy saw that his sort of favourite guitar was broken by somebody sort of throwing it around whilst they're trying to disembark a plane, and the treatment actually led him to record a song about his experience that he posted on YouTube. Now this song has actually had 12 million views, which has then led him to write a book on it. So and everyone sort of has similar stories about how maybe they've mentioned something on Twitter and then maybe had a response, or maybe not had a response. And so it's no surprise really that companies who want to remain competitive have to take this sort of new age way of engaging with customers into account and really focus on creating those amazing customer experiences with this in mind. Now, the good news is that customers are responding to those amazing experiences, and in fact some industry analysts believe that customer experience is really how you differentiate yourself from your competitors. Now, what's also impressive is that really, if you think about putting the customer at the heart of everything that you do, it really can pay off an impact on your bottom line. And there are some studies that have been done that show that not only will customers pay more for a better experience, but that the benefits of doing that actually increase profitability and revenue, and that's actually significant. And the stats here should speak for themselves. 86% of customers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience, and those that are highly engaged actually deliver 23% increase in profitability and revenue to the companies that they purchase from. That's sort of labour the point a little bit. These are the results of a study by Watermark Consulting, which is a customer experience think tank, and they ran an experiment where they invested in the top 10 leaders and top 10 laggards in the Forrester Customer Experience Index over 5 years, and what they did was they tracked their performance against the S&P 500 index for 4 years, and what they actually found was the return of those people who were customer experience leaders was 128% higher than those that were classed as customer experience laggards. So the results strongly suggest that delivering those leading customer experiences allow companies to outperform their competitors in the market. So how can a Microsoft solution like Dynamics CRM actually help with that? Well, at Microsoft, the vision is really to help customers deliver that amazing customer experience in 3 ways. Firstly, businesses need to be able to market smarter. They need to plan and deliver engaging campaigns, and they also need to be able to prove the results of their efforts. Secondly, they need to be able to sell effectively. So how do we enable salespeople to focus on what matters so they can close deals faster? And finally, they need to be able to provide fantastic customer care absolutely everywhere. So they need to be responsive, they need to be able to deliver information, and they need to make sure that they earn those customers for life. So I'm going to delve into each of these 3 areas and give you some idea of how Microsoft is delivering on that. So as I've said, the ability to shop anywhere at any time and gather information about products and services really means that you need to deliver some kind of impact about your business, about your brand, and if you ask any marketing director, then they'll, I suppose, tell you that marketing has changed, probably in the last 2 years more than ever, but the great news is that marketing teams are being given the budgets that used to be reserved for IT. So Gartner predicts that by 2017 the chief marketing officer will spend more on IT than the chief information officer. Why is this good? Well, marketers are really able to invest in solutions now that can help them adapt to that change. But at the same time, they're struggling to figure out what those solutions might be. So that's what we're here for. What we need to be able to do is to provide solutions that will help marketing teams make that change. So just thinking about whether or not you're ready, what sort of 3 things can we do? Well, in terms of helping you engage with your customers, you need to be able to reach your prospects with content that's relevant, and you need to do that across multiple channels. Microsoft Dynamics Marketing, which is a new feature of the Spring Wave, really helps marketers create complex nurture campaigns and guide those prospects towards a sale. Now, one of the biggest challenges that marketing teams face is their ability to prove that they can fill that pipeline, not just with leads, but with leads that are actually worth something and salespeople can close. So what we need to do is provide businesses with the way to deliver a sort of personal marketing message, make it relevant, and build that pipeline of leads that are then delivered to your sales team to ensure that they are genuine leads and leads that are leads that team will want. So Dynamics Marketing will deliver that capability, and importantly, they will actually deliver the business intelligence, the reporting, and the results to demonstrate to say your board that the investment that's been made in the marketing team is bearing fruit. And in Dynamics marketing, there are a few things that it does. Firstly, it makes creating campaigns easy. It's a visual design console, so you can drag and drop the steps to create that. It will allow teams to manage and score leads, ensuring that the sales team actually get past the ones that are likely to close. And it allows marketing teams to manage resources and, as I've said, produce the return on marketing investment that all marketing teams want to be able to demonstrate to the senior leadership. And here are just some stats here that they're a little, in terms of scale, they're perhaps a little bit bigger than maybe what our average customer would deal with. But the purpose of this slide is really to indicate that where companies invest in marketing solutions, then there is an increase in the conversion rates. So something like Dynamics marketing can make a big impact there. Secondly, in terms of looking at the world of sales, so we already know that customers are smarter, but if you look at the trends, what they show is that people are now 70% through the buying process before they actually make contact with the company that they're researching. And when they do reach out, they've more often than not formed some kind of hypothesis, and these have an impact on how we sell. Social selling is on the rise, and social selling best practices encourage people to develop a relationship through social networks, so that really the customer doesn't even think of their contact as a salesperson, but more of a trusted advisor. And as the second square suggests there, the outcomes appear to be worth the investment when 73% of salespeople who are using social media outperform those that don't. So this is what it means to sell effectively. For sales organizations, it's really critical that their sales guys are able to zero in, focus on those activities that are going to generate the most impact. So minimize the amount of time they spend doing non-selling activities and maximize the time that they spend building those deeper relationships with customers and their prospects, personalizing all of those customer interactions. And Microsoft Dynamics CRM will help with those sort of sales representatives within your business, giving them contextual information. It will eliminate time wasting and really improve the account, lead and contact information which you keep within your CRM system. It also helps them to win faster. So if you create a good experience for the end user in CRM, then with things like social insights, it can actually provide your salespeople with the information that will allow them to speed up that sales process. Now, every seller obviously wants to sell more, and they can do that by engaging and collaborating around strategic deals, maybe with people outside of the sales team. And there are tools within CRM like Yammer and so on that will allow your sales team to evaluate the pipeline and really gain more confidence in dealing with that sale. So we're talking about empowering the sales team here, and we're doing that with things like looking at the way that salespeople want to work. So a lot of people in sales are, unsurprisingly, out on the road, and Dynamics CRM lets them work the way that they want to on the device, wherever they are, through a tablet or a mobile device or a laptop, depending on where they are. You can also do a lot of work with things like processes and process flows, and if you were on our last webinar, you would have seen that in action when we introduced 2013 itself. And these process flows really allow you to drive some consistency so that you can deliver the same customer experience to all of those customers and get your processes right first time. I've mentioned social insights and the ability to gain that and gain a deeper understanding for customers. And just like marketing, all the information that you put into CRM can be brought back out with things like analytics, whether it's Power BI or reporting from within CRM itself, to give you an understanding of how your business is performing. Now, as you can see from this slide, companies have seen an increased user adoption with Dynamics CRM, and what that means is that sellers and sales managers really saw value and actually started to use it. So if you create that experience well for your sales team, they will use it, and ultimately they will improve the revenue that they generate for your business. Finally, of the three key areas that we're talking about is customer care. And customers have adopted mobile and social technologies in the same way that we all have, and therefore customer expectations about that customer service have risen dramatically. And what customers want these days is a high quality, consistent service, and they want to do that on the channel of their choice, whether it's email, telephone, in person, or using things like Twitter. Now, there's a digital marketing expert called Stephen Van Belleghem who has done the research and produced these stats that you see on the slide right now. And he says that 67% of customers actually prefer self-service over speaking to a live person. Now, I think most of us can relate to the frustration that we encounter when we get poor service and how we want to react. And, of course, social media has given us a voice to let the world know, or certainly however many followers that you may have, or people in your friendship network. And at the same time, of course, we can also do the traditional thing, which is switch supplier and move with our feet, and we find it much easier to do that these days. So the secret really to success in customer care is really ensuring that you minimize the opportunity that you give customers to leave, and also to damage your brand elsewhere. So how do we do that? Well, firstly, and this is sort of stating the obvious really, but earning that customer loyalty is probably the #1 imperative for those organisations that have some kind of customer service team. So you need to consider how you're going to connect with the customer in the channel of their choice, how you interact not just on the telephone but also with things like email and on the phone, but also things like social and the web, and we'll show you an example of that a little bit later on in the demonstration. You also need to, though, empower your service team with tools and the knowledge so that they can actually make decisions, and that they can do that, again, similar to the sales team, whenever and wherever they want to do that, giving them mobile devices or giving them, good user experience with CRM itself. And also, as a service department, you need to kind of think about how to drive the resolution of these issues quickly, improving things like response times and resolution times, so that your customers actually feel as though you're acting quickly, you're getting things done for them, and that their issue is resolved in a timely manner. And so obviously what I'm going to say is that CRM enables you to do that, and here's how. So with Dynamics CRM, you'll see a multi-channel service that you can serve your customers, whether that's web service and self-service, social, or whatever. And there is a new feature within this spring update called the Unified Service Desk, that if you have a large number of people within a customer service team, it's a really great tool that provides a single point, single focus of their day-to-day work that allows them to deliver that fantastic experience. There's also things like knowledge bases in CRM, and as I keep going on about, the social element of the spring update will allow you to engage directly with your customer online. Increased loyalty really generates results, and the statistics here again speak for themselves. So you see the middle slide here, at 93% increase in customer loyalty is what IBM found by moving to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So we need to make sure clearly that we can replicate that across the board, whether you're a large organization or whether you're a small business. So okay, so in terms of putting this into practice and how this appears in the spring update, I'm going to hand over to Jordan, who's going to give us a demonstration of these incredible features and actually see it in action. So Jordan, it's over to you.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so two themes there that I can really pick out and hone in on in demonstrating the new essential features that are available to us via the Spring Wave. Microsoft Dynamics, given those principles that Paul's just mentioned in the presentation itself, really what I'm going to run through as two scenarios today is customer sentiment and what it means for us and for you as customers to be interactive with your customers via social, and what it means to understand what people are exploiting in terms of the brand, your products, your services, and being responsive to that from both a sales and service perspective. And firstly, what I'm going to touch upon is the theme which Paul spoke about the loyalty of customers and actually providing a seamless customer service and experience, ensuring that those new customers that come on board receive a high level of service, and that customers that are loyal to you continue to be loyal to you, and that 62% the 62% that Paul mentioned about moving away and moving on the feet when a service is poor is at least reduced or completely eliminated via Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So first and foremost, the area that I'm going to show is actually an area that Microsoft have developed specifically for customer service. So you'll now see that what we've got is a fully fledged service management area, and service management, the service management area has been brought in to enhance some of the features that I showed in the webinar for the CRM 2013 release around case management and customer case handling. So the first couple of few features that are really key and striking that will allow you to help support your customers in a timely manner and to agreements agreed for those that you have contracts with, for those that you're looking to monitor and progress, is actually service level agreements. Now, I'm sure whatever the nature of the business is that you provide, there's actually agreements in place and contracts with customers, or even just the level of service that you commit or aspire to in being a provider for your customers. Now, service level agreements within Dynamics CRM allows us to capture exactly what our customers should be expecting as a service, and we can actually have many different service level agreements depending on particular service types. So it might be, for example, a gold support service, it might be a particular product advanced maintenance service, and what it allows us to actually capture is the information and the detail around once a customer inquiry is received, how quickly do we need to follow up by, how quickly do we need to resolve by. And this means that agents who are working and managing your customer experience within Dynamics CRM can actually control and police the time that it's spent on there and be reactive to the ones that are lagging, the ones that are falling behind and that actually are becoming nearing non-compliance. So this is just an example of a gold SLA that I've created here, and as you can see here, what I've actually done is that we've said for the customer cases that have this SLA on their contracts, we need to make sure that any cases that are created, that by the way might be coming from any inquiries in inbox, it might be coming from verbally over the phone, it may be coming from a number of different sources. But once that's actually logged in the system, we need to follow that up by an hour, and then we need to resolve that because of the customer by 2 days' time, and that's our SLA. But of course, depending on your SLAs, these can be completely defined, and you can set responses to when they need to be followed up by, when they need to be resolved by. So that's actually monitoring and ensuring that our agents are successful in committing to closing that case. How do we as a business set the expectation to our customers as to how many support entitlements they have left, and from a sales perspective also understand when perhaps our service is being of great help to customers and potentially they need to purchase or be involved with more service via our business. And that's really what Microsoft have tried to achieve with the entitlements entity that I'm just about to show now. So entitlements essentially are there to be registered against your products that you provide, against individual customers, and can be defined by the amount of cases that customers raise or the amount of hours of support that they delve in with your engineers, be it with your support help desk providers. And what it means is that we can monitor how rapidly customers are eating into their support allowances, and actually proactively monitor that to generate opportunities to actually identify where do we need to upsell our support, where is our support being heavily used by which customers, and which ones are heavily on our support desk, and what does that mean in terms of the products that we're providing. Is there a particular product that customers are continually logging cases against? And if so, why is that? And from a support perspective, just means that you can offer a seamless service, setting the customer's expectation and generate as much opportunity back to the business and to justify business cases where your customers will need a higher level of support. So there's a couple of the new features. There are other enhancements available to cases which I'll show you in just a second. What now I'm keen to do to show you is actually using those two examples of new features that have been available to us as customers in the Springwave release, is how they're actually used day to day by an agent. So if I go into one of my customer accounts, in this case I'm going to use a sales store, and what I'm going to show you is actually the story and the journey that a representative, one of your agents, be it an engineer, be it a support help desk representative, or a general customer services representative, whatever it might be, their journey and experience with helping this customer and managing their expectations. So I'm on the customer account form. I've got obviously the list of issues in terms of customer cases that we've resolved that have been raised, and also you'll notice now that with the new entitlements entity, I've activated an insight to the account level of how many actual entitlements that this customer's got left. Now, being on the help desk and support agent, what's actually happened here is a sales store have called me in, and I need to create a new case in respects to a problem that they've got with a particular product that we've provided them with. So using the quick create as well, I'm going to just quickly create a case for the company. And you'll see here what I'm then going to do is actually select the entitlement that's registered against the customer account. I can then fill in information as you expect about the product, the subject, the case type, etc. And then what I'm going to do is save that record. So for those of you that were involved in the previous demo, you will have known how the process flow element for the cases entity allows us to actually take a particular customer service inquiry, be it an order problem, a technical issue, right the way through from identifying the problem, qualifying the problem itself, to right the way through to resolution. So what we've actually got here is the ability to define when a case needs to be resolved by using our SLAs, when the first response needs to be by, example we could use here as this Monday, and this is using our SLAs so that, as you can see here, as we change the information, the actual SLAs change depending on what's been agreed with the customer, or what SLAs are actually against the customer record. In this case, I've set up a manual SLA, just as you've seen here with the running clock, and now as an agent I've got a defining time and a running clock as to when I need to respond to and when this issue needs to be resolved by. But the SLA that I showed you earlier can quite quickly be assigned to a particular customer, and at the point of logging a case will automatically create these timer clocks that you can see here. And you can see as you progress them, once we respond to them, we update the information on the cases. They then automatically update to provide you with the information and reporting information that actually says how well have we done against this case. Have we completed and adhered to the SLAs that will agree with the customer? So that's the scenario that you can use, appreciating that some of you may have many different service level agreements, and absolutely for each customer you can assign an SLA so that at the point of loading a case, the standard SLA is then raised, and the agents can see graphically on the screen what they need to do to get this through to resolution. So other enhancements that are available to us now in the Dynamics Springwave in cases is actually being able to associate child and parent cases. So if there is if there's ever a scenario where there's a main issue that's actually affecting a number of customers, let's take the example of you're a network provider and one of the network lines goes down, and that then affects a number of customers in that area who access that network. Microsoft have made a seamless way of tracking that problem without too much manual intervention by relaying a parent case, which in this case would be the network outage, and having child cases that are associated to that, which would then be those individual customers that are associated to that network issue. And that means from a closing and reporting perspective, we can quickly identify the issue, identify who's affected without too much manual intervention, and close and resolve that issue for all of those customers via the parent case. We can also apply routing now, so we can route cases based, apply routes in which cases need to be channeled through, and assign them to certain team members with the selection of queues as well. In respects to the entitlements entity and how that fits with this case record, if I, for example, go to resolve the case, so I've taken them through the product resolution. I've gone through, in this case, if we take the example, I've gone through the process flow with them. If I then go back to the actual account itself and just show you for proof of concept how that entitlement that the customer has is now reflected to a reduced number of 8 as opposed to 9 when we originally were involved with the case, this means that we can report on it, monitor it, and from an account manager perspective can come in and actually see what entitlements do they have left and how many. So as I say, that sort of provides the proof of concept how SLAs and entitlements can be used to leverage the experience that you give to your customers and ultimately the service that your agents are providing. In terms of how that can be used in a management scenario for monitoring SLAs, and are we adhering to our customers, are we making sure that we're being proactive about the opportunities that we're generating off the back of those entitlements. Using the tool that I showed previously again in the webinar for the introduction of CRM 2013, the capability of dashboards really helps us enhance and get a first look into what's going on with our business, what are we progressing, how many entitlements do our customers have left. So we can see here I've set up dashboards which are available to understand the service level and which ones are nearing non-compliance, i.e. which one do we need to pick up first. And also a dashboard looking at entitlements for those managerial who are interested in actually understanding what opportunities we need to progress and discuss with our customers. So in this case we've got entitlements remaining by month. We want to look, for example, how many customers are involved in that and how many people do we need to talk to about an upsell. And let's say for this example we could then start to use the marketing element of CRM to create a calling campaign to then prospect to them about the entitlements and our support service and actually report on this is how many entitlements you've used in the last month. Therefore we anticipate if that's the repeat performance you needing another 10 in the next fiscal, which would mean an uplift of 5 entitlements, which is X price to the customer. So hopefully that gives you a better insight into what's available now from a customer service perspective, and that's just some of the features that I've showed. Obviously, as Paul discussed earlier, there's the unified service desk, which is very much focused around prioritizing tasks and cases and managing those. But what I'm keen to show you now is the second theme that I spoke about at the start of the demo around customer sentiment and how we can influence, understand and actually engage with our customers socially, but be first to market and responsive to what people are saying about us as a business, our products and services, and being proactive in what potentially they're asking for and inquiring about. So the tool that's in front of me now is social listening, and essentially the NetBreeze acquisition that Microsoft made last year, social listening is the result of that. So it's analytics on the social front and over the web, particularly about your brands, your services, your products, and is integrated with Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So the first thing you'll notice about social listening is that it is pretty much the twin for Microsoft Dynamics CRM in terms of how users will navigate, and when your marketers and customer service representatives and equally sales are using social listening, they will find the experience of it exactly seamless to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and it will ultimately feel like they're in one solution, that they've never left Microsoft Dynamics CRM itself. So as you can see here, the navigation is exactly the same with the drop-downs, the home menus and the terminologies. Well, let's just talk a little bit about what's available here and what we're looking at in front of us. So we've got a number of different search topics that we've defined. So in this case it might be your business's brand. It might be the products and services that you offer, henceforth as putting forward Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And we can define and search on or chop and change the search topics that we're looking at, and it might be by products, it might be by services, it might be by brand names. And we can also filter by time frame. So as you can see here, we've got different time frames that we're looking at that could be last week, today, the month, or a custom time period when, let's say for example, we're running an exhibition or a brand awareness campaign and we want to track the brand name and what people are saying about it over social channels. But if I actually delve into the data here, the buzz talks about obviously how many things have been said over social media across all entities, be it Facebook, be it Twitter, be it blogs, and the trend identifies in the certain time period that we're looking at whether that's been increased or over a longer period than average, or whether that's actually declined slightly from last week's discussions or a certain time period's discussions. So let's delve into this data a little bit more to show you what the buzz means and what people are talking about and how we can view that in a report scenario. So you can see here what we've got is actually a history graph around the times in which posts have been particularly fluent. So times here around, as you can see here, that are slightly deducted, and that's probably because people on this data at the weekend, or there's not that social buzz about particular products or services within that time, but it just means from a perspective you can look at the average number of posts that it's generating and that we're receiving about this particular product, and also what it's meant like for particular time periods. We can also delve down it into another level of the actual brands or products and services again that we're looking at, and through what channels is it most popular. So that gives us some insight into basically what people are saying. Let's have a look now at the concept of sentiment and how we can be reactive to these the social elements of in which people are talking about our brands. So Paul mentioned earlier in customer service and sales scenarios. So what we've got here is the brand itself, the high-level information about what's being said, what information's coming in, the social channels in which it's coming in from, and you'll see here via color coding whether it's neutral, negative sentiments, or positive sentiments. So social listening has the intelligence to look at certain words and phrases within the social channels and actually define to itself what are people saying and is it negative, so that you can then be responsive to those. So let's just, in this case, looking from a customer service perspective, try and understand a couple of negative scenarios. So as a business, because we've got this information, what we then might want to do is react to that. So it may be a non-existing client who's saying something about a particular product or service that we offer because they're having a negative experience via a social channel, and we can actually then, in this scenario, respond to them first and be the first one to make their experience seamless and be one of those influences prior to them perhaps buying the product and being that trusted advisor. So let's have a look at these two negative posts. We can see here the one at the top here, picking up sentiments that are about our brand, but then also sentiments that could be viewed as negative. In this case, this client's actually talking about how they've moved from Sugar CRM to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and that clearly they've had a positive experience. So in that case, because the sentiment's picked that up and seen it as potentially negative, what we'd want to do is move that sentiment to our positive box. And what we can then actually do is perhaps reply to that customer and understand and get some feedback as to why their move was actually seamless, and potentially off the back of that create some marketing collateral about a case study or the customer experience, and use that again as to customers as to why a migration to Microsoft Dynamics CRM would be positive. We can quite quickly, via the integration to Twitter and other social media sites, as you can see here with social listening, respond in the channel directly to these customers and end users. So hopefully that gives you some insight as to how we can connect now better than ever to social media channels. Obviously all this information can get tracked back into CRM, and you can build up social profiles for your customers so you can understand what they're tweeting about for each individual account. you can understand what's being posted, react and respond to them via CRM in their social profiles. But what you can also do, as a matter of fact, is set up alerts directly within social listening, so that if there is something that comes from a particular customer or a post that you want to be constantly alerted about, if there's alert that you require around negative sentiment, we can set those up to define so that we're responsive and we don't have to continuously just look into the software to actually see when do we need to react. So yeah, in summary, I hope that gives you an insight into how social listening can be used as a sales tool, as a customer service tool, and as an influencing tool to the market about your product, your brand, and your services to customers. And with that, I'll hand back over to Paul for the final bit of the demonstration. But thank you for your time this morning, guys.
Thanks, Jordan. Good demonstration there of the new features and how all the things I was talking about at the beginning can actually be put into practice with the product itself. So, in terms of the sort of drawing it to a conclusion, I want to just quickly talk about really a summary of why customers actually choose Microsoft Dynamics as a solution for all of these things. And I'm not going to go into sort of every bit of detail here, but really, as I've said at the beginning, you've really got an intuitive, process-driven user experience for your team that are going to use this product, and it will help guide them through these tasks and all the information that they need to stay focused on closing that deal or delivering that amazing customer experience whilst working on the device of their choice, whether it's iPad or Android or Windows Phone or a Windows 8 device. And of course, delivering these amazing customer experiences demands that your people work not only across sales, service, marketing, but actually across your entire business and beyond that. And Microsoft has really been a leader in productivity and collaboration for a long time. And now Dynamics CRM really brings everything together, and CRM really starts to become the core focal point for a series of solutions that you may deploy throughout your business, whether that includes links to Outlook, links, Skype, Yammer for social collaboration, and so on and so forth. And of course, all of the information that you maintain within the CRM system can be used to report on, which will deliver those real-time insights that you need to actually get more from your business and run your business incredibly well. So we've got some time for some questions that we've had in. I've had a few questions about what we've been talking about, so I'm going to sort of field them between Jordan and myself. And the first question comes in the sense, can we learn a bit more about the marketing product? So we haven't actually shown the marketing product on the demo, and there is actually a reason for that, and that is that the marketing product, it's such a huge product, and it contains so much that it actually doesn't do it justice to show it in this demo. So what we're going to do is we're going to do something separate on Microsoft Dynamics Marketing so that you can see the whole product. You can see exactly what it does. You can see all of those sort of visual building of those nurture campaigns that I spoke about earlier on. So we will do something specific on that. There's information on our website, and there's information at Microsoft as well if you want a bit more information about that. Okay, so the next question is one that I'll post to Jordan because it's about costs, and he's the sales guy in this call. So Jordan, how much is the social listening application?
Thanks, Paul. Okay, so social listening, for those customers and users that have 10 or more professional, it's actually a free tool, and Microsoft will provide it to you as a tool that's part of your subscription. For those of you that have 10 users or less, or bar 10 users, should I say, it's available to you as part of the enterprise license, so it'd essentially be a purchase of that enterprise license itself.
Another question which I'll pose to you, please, Jordan. Can child accounts access parent accounts entitlements? So can child accounts access parent accounts entitlements?
Okay, thanks again, Paul. Okay, so I think what we're meaning here in the scenario is if you've got relationships between particular accounts, can they access entitlements that have that associated relationship? The answer is absolutely. When I raised a case, as you saw in the demonstration, I looked up in the system what entitlement to choose. So if there's a relationship there between the child and parent, that entitlement itself will appear, and you'll be able to select that entitlement for that child account, and the entitlement will reduce, or the support number will reduce from that entitlement as opposed to one on the child.
Final question says, I have CRM online, but I don't have these features. So how do I get them? Okay, so they will actually be there if you have CRM online, because it will have updated to the spring update. But you do have to enable the features. So rather than go through the particulars about that, if you give our support desk a call, they will help with that. And it may be that you need some consultancy to get the most out of those, but they should be able to at least talk to you and advise you on whether or not that's the case. Alternatively, get in touch with us directly from this webinar. I'll just pop the details on the screen here on how you can do that. And we'd be very happy to help you out with that. Just drop the details of what your question is, or what your interest is, then we can talk to you about that. Okay, so as it says here, if you would like a further discussion either on Dynamics CRM 2013 in general, or about the spring update in particular, then we'd be delighted to have that conversation with you. The best way to get in touch is by dropping us an email to info@tsg.com, or by giving us a call on 0845 1111 888. That's 0845 1111 888. And we'd love to talk to you about that and help you find the best solution to your particular needs, whether that's to do with social or anything else that's CRM related. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. We are placing a recording of this session on tsg.com. Don't forget to go to tsg.com/events as well for all the future events and webinars and so on that we host, whether that's online or actually near you. So with that, we'll say goodbye and enjoy the rest of your day.